Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Mac, I guess just for you, how do you kind of feel the first couple games went? And I guess when you kind of felt some adversity, I guess how did you feel you kind of took that on in Sunday's contest?
I think we're learning each other, and when we play other teams, we played against each other a lot, and we're learning how to play against other teams. But we lost the game, and that obviously haunts us. But what can we do now? We can learn from it and figure out what we did wrong. I think we came out flat, and personally, I take a lot of responsibility for some of the things I did, but also we're going to all look at it ourselves and fix what we need to fix.
Now, Coach Beard has been talking about some of the things that he kind of spoke about to you as to what they expect from you. What have you expected from Texas Tech, and what have you kind of seen from them in terms of what has allowed you to kind of flourish those first two games?
Yeah, in recruiting, I kind of figured out what I believe what Coach said and what he needed me to do, and I came here to help the team win, and I got to get a lot better, and so does this whole team as a unit. We got to build our chemistry a lot, and we're going to. But I just been trusting the process and not really looking at my points or my assists or anything. Just kind of trying to play the game the right way and grow every day.
Last one for me, because I know other people got questions. I guess for you, I know obviously getting a game canceled, getting a new one, it might be kind of what the normal is. I guess how do you guys kind of handle something like that where you're obviously trying to know whether or not you're going to be playing a game and kind of those things?
Yeah, people are saying it's different times. It is, but as a competitor, you just focus on every day. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about today. Like, what am I going to do today in practice? How am I to contribute? And props to Coach Sutton. He got a new game that fast, and he worked so hard, and we're really appreciative for him.
All right, Collier.
Hey, Mike, you mentioned needing some things to work on. What frustrated you about that Houston game, and is one of the things that or maybe some of the things you're working on before you guys play Toronto?
Yeah, I think one thing we got to work on is our intensity on rebounding and defense, and also running the offense, slowing down and reading our man and trusting backbone, and just kind of not speeding ourselves up, and really concentrating on getting good shots every time and looking for each other.
Is it different with the game being changed like this? I mean, I know you guys probably, if it's a short window, you don't have that much time to scout a team. How has this been different with the having to go from St. John's to Toronto?
Yeah, it's really no different for me. I'm just ready to play. I'm ready to compete. I think for the coaches and scouting, and obviously we have a lot of preparation. I know that's very hard, and I know that's different for us in that aspect. But when it comes to the game, I don't look at it any differently. I just kind of concentrate on what's going on now.
Nathan.
Everybody's kind of talked about expecting the odd year with the atmosphere, but what is the atmosphere like playing in kind of open gyms with very few fans in there so far?
Yeah, I think we just had to concentrate on ourselves, and it's not something I don't think a lot of people. Obviously, the Red Raider Nation, like at the Houston game, that was incredible. I don't know how much percent they let in, but I know everybody felt their presence, and that was awesome to be a part of. So that felt like a loud game to me, but. I still think Red Raider has been showing out and at the home games, and it's been great to have that extra support and that advantage.
In the second half against Houston, what do you think it was that allowed you guys to kind of chip away, get back into it, and play a little bit better in that half compared to the first?
Yeah, I think we just came with a sense of urgency, but it should have been from the jump. It just kind of there's a lot of X's and O's to the game, but I think you just got to come correct.
Sean Dillon.
During the practice, which other players are giving you the best defensive presence, pushing you to be better, and who's helping you to become a better player?
Yeah, nobody can guard. No, I'm just messing. No, they're we play a side defense, so everybody does a really great job, and like I said, this is not my team. I didn't come here, and I came here to the returners team and the seniors team. So I'm here just to help, and those guys have all been great to me and let me kind of lead from behind, and you know, Kyler and Kevin and TJ and all those guys are great to compete with every single day, and obviously Marcus and, you know, a bunch of other guys.
And how has those seniors come and helped bring you and make you part of this team?
Yeah, you kind of saw in the recruiting process. My fault. You kind of saw in the recruiting process where these guys reached out to me and did whatever it took to got me here. So you can tell it was a family culture from there, and they just kind of welcomed me like they've known me my whole life, which was just incredible to come into.
Joe, do you have anything? No. Carlos, one last one.
I can think of one.
Sure.
Mac, I guess with Troy coming up, I guess what were some of the things that you guys took away from being under your first adversity? I know obviously it's kind of difficult when you get those first 2 wins and you're kind of in that adverse situation. What do you feel either coach kind of gave you some words, or what did y'all feel as players that you kind of talked about after that game that you kind of, and I know you've kind of alluded to it, but what you feel like you guys got to do to make sure that maybe you're not kind of caught off guard again?
Right. You know, everyone here wants to win, and I think on a winning team, at some point you hit some adversity. And I'm not saying this will be our last adversity, but I think this will maybe spark something, will wake us up in a certain situation and realize, you know, we talk about how bad we want this. We have to come correct every single game. Mentally we know, you know, we can come in and we can be beaten if we're not coming correct. So I think this will build a spark and a hunger for us for the next games moving forward.
Okay, we'll let Matt go with one more question for Billy.
Hey Mac, just wanted to go along the lines of what Sean asked. How's your transition been so far? Learning Beard's system, playing on a really defensive team, and just so far playing in his first 3 games as a Red Raider.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been such a great situation. I feel, you know, this is very far from my hometown, but I feel like I'm at home and I'm in the right spot. You know, it's been great. You know, Coach Beard is someone so competitive. I just love it. I love being around him. Coach Adams has gotten me to love defense, and I'm really embraced it, trying to get better every single day about it. So this culture is something else, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Kind of take me through that process.
Yeah, it's like we've talked about before, guys. This group, we were prepared for the unexpected. We are still prepared for schedule changes this season. And so I want to recognize everybody on our staff did a great job. We immediately got into communications with some different programs around the country. Sean Sutton has led that charge the last couple months, has done a great job on our staff. So to get a quality opponent, we're appreciative, you know, of a lot of people that made the game happen. I've got a relationship with Scott Cross, the head coach of Troy University. 2 of my former players when I was an assistant coach, Kenneth Mangrum and Brandon Gilbert, are coaches on that staff. I coached Kenneth and Gilbert at North Texas back in the late 90s with Vic Trilly. So again, like I've said before, it gets down to relationships, people you can trust to try to put the, you know, players in a position where they can have a game.
Kind of now that you do know that you do have a team kind of to play with, it's in a weird way, is this kind of I guess, way to prepare for an NCAA tournament type deal where obviously you kind of know what team you're going to play, and then you kind of have to prepare on a quick timeline?
Yeah, I think so. You know, NCAA tournament, you normally get, you know, 4 to 5 days, depending on whether you're going to play on that Thursday or Friday. And if you're fortunate enough to win the game, it's a 1-day prep. So we've been here before. This will be, the 3rd time already this season. We're on a 1-day prep. Obviously, a lot of times in the Big 12, when you play the Saturday, then the big Monday game, same type deal. So, you know, no advantage for either team. We obviously both found out about the game and signed the contract at the same time. So, you know, we look forward to our next chance to compete. We're appreciative of ESPN, you know, helping us out, and another chance to play on national television Friday night. Obviously, the St. John's game was scheduled there. I think it speaks dividends to our program that we've gotten to the point where, you know, we can play a national television game on Friday night.
During his time at UTA, Scott Cross was known for having defensive teams. I guess what are you expecting from him, just kind of coming in, especially with a team that's being led by a freshman in scoring?
Yeah, so Scott's the all-time winningest coach at UT Arlington. Basically built the program to the point where now, one of our guys, Chris Ogden's fortunate enough to follow him there. Those of us in this part of the country, especially Texas, a lot of respect for Scott and who he is and what he's about. The first thing with his teams, they'll play extremely hard. And you won't have to be a coach in the film room with a remote control to determine that. It'll be very easy to recognize that from when the ball gets tipped up. His players will play with passion. They'll play extremely hard each possession. There'll be no time in the game where the Troy team's not playing with maximum effort. So I feel the same way about our team. So it'll be a game where two teams are really playing hard. Scott's an offensive mind. His teams do a lot of things different offensively. So it's a challenge to guard those guys. Then defensively, I would agree with you, Carlos. He's a defensive coach whose guys play really hard.
Joe?
Yeah, Coach, any injury updates on Vlad and Matt?
Yeah, Vlad is back. It's been released. He was cleared for the game in Fort Worth against Houston, just because of practice time and what have you. Coach's decision that he didn't get minutes in that game, but he'll return to practice. I guess today will be his third consecutive full-time practice, so he's cleared. Kev will just continue down the road of rehabbing with the ankle. We're doing good. Kev's doing everything he possibly can. Mike Neal, don't anticipate Kev playing in the next ball game, but it'll sooner than later get to a point where we hopefully get that thing day to day and figure out when they'll play.
And Coach, with in Tom Wade no longer in the program, is there maybe a little bit more of an opportunity?
You've gone silent, Joe. Joe, we couldn't hear the rest of your question. It went silent. All right, if you want to try to figure it out, your volume's not coming out. Sean, question?
Real quick, I heard about half the question, Joe. I know it's about Joel and opportunity. I mean, absolutely. I mean, opportunity for playing time in games comes different ways. Obviously, the most common way and the avenue that all players strive is with your own performance. You play well in practice. You play well in the opportunity, the minutes you get in games, it leads to more opportunities. That's kind of how our sport works. Then there's other avenues, whether it be a player has a little misfortune and gets injured, could open up an opportunity for another player. Certainly foul trouble in our game is another example. Then unfortunately, from time to time, when you have some roster movement, absolutely, that gives some guys a better opportunity, a quicker opportunity than maybe before.
Okay, and then my last question, could you talk a little bit about Mac McClung as a defensive player? Because he didn't come to Texas Tech necessarily with a reputation of being a stopper, but I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about what you've seen from him on that end.
Yeah, I can't speak for Mac, but I can give my opinion on that question. I think in recruiting and evaluating Mac, we saw the ability where this guy could be a great defender. He's got elite quickness, not normal quickness, not good quickness. He's quick, very quick player, and obviously he's an elite athlete in terms of his jumping ability, his ability to accelerate, stop, move on the fly. I mean, he's got the athleticism and speed that can translate to defense. Other things, he's very, very competitive. He's an aggressive guy. He's got one speed to him. He's all about one thing, winning. And I think our challenge, or our, not necessarily challenge, our objective from the very first time I talked to Mac on the telephone was to see if our two ideas and missions could align, and they have. Mac wants to win, and the only way to win in college basketball is to defend. Mac would like to be an NBA player. The only way to be an NBA player is to play on both sides of the floor. And in my opinion, unless you're 7-foot wingspan, kind of one of these special 1 in a million type players, which Mac isn't, unless you're one of those guys, I mean, you got to be a two-way player. They're not handing out $1 million paychecks in the NBA to not play on both ends of the floor. So, yes, I think Mac has more than the ability and more than the mindset to be a great defender, and we're off to a great start. He's one of our best defensive players in practice in terms of making things happen with steals. He's tough enough to make a rotation blockout. And I think it's translating to the games. Like everyone in our program, myself included, he's not at his best right now because we're a work in progress. He's not perfect right now because none of us are. But I think he's shown the ability to want to compete and has played some really good defensive possessions these first 3 games.
Got a call here?
And Chris, you alluded to it earlier about kind of the NCAA tournament style, but how does this change for the coaching staff having to do the quick turnaround and prepare? I mean, it's kind of different for you guys as well. How has that been for the staff and you?
Yeah, so we have a system. You know, we had a coach along with several support staff people working for that coach on the St. John Scout. The second that we hear the game's not going to take place, obviously all that work is done. We've got a few guys around here that are experts on St. John's, even though we'll never get to play against them. When the game was scheduled with Troy, when we signed the contract, we immediately jump into that game. So it's a very, very quick turnaround, but it has caused a little bit of shuffle amongst the office. Again, though, if you guys think back to some of the conversations that we've had, I've always said, we got to expect the unexpected. Like, I think it's potentially a possibility that even during Big 12 play, we think we're playing Baylor on Saturday, and then a couple days before, maybe Texas Tech's not playing Baylor, maybe Texas Tech's playing West Virginia. There's policies and procedures in place right now because of the COVID. So it's an interesting year. It's a different year. Nothing like this has ever been close to happening. Talked to Coach Self, yesterday, and he was echoing the same thing. It's about reacting. It's about, staying positive, and just like one of our good college basketball people in the media, it's like, test negative, stay positive, is a text going around college basketball right now, and it's just so true. And I think part of being positive is just understanding we're all going to have to be flexible.
All right, we'll wrap up with Sean Dillon.
Coach, how do you feel this team has responded in practice after they got their teeth kicked in Houston? How are they responding right now?
Yeah, I haven't been to our team dentist lately. I was unaware of anybody on our team's teeth getting kicked in. I think we played one of the best teams in the country, who's currently the number 10 team in the country, who's picked to win their conference and picked by many to go to the Final Four, who played, I think 8 players in the game, and 7 of them played major minutes last year for Houston. So basically we played a veteran team with everybody returning. I didn't see any teeth on the floor, but I do think that Houston was the more aggressive team in the first half. But I think in the second half it would be a fair statement to say that maybe maybe our teeth were intact a little bit better in the second half. We played well. I was proud of our players. I've done this before. Everywhere we've been, we found a way to win. Here's no exception. And what happens with winning, or expectations change. And I think some people are really, really upset and kind of shocked that we might have come up short against one of the best teams in the country, number 10 Houston. I'm not. This is a work in progress. I'm proud of our players. I thought we really competed in the game, especially in the second half, and outscored Houston and really made it a 2-possession game with about 4 or 5 minutes left. So I don't think it's fair to say we got our teeth kicked in by Houston. How have we responded from our first adversity this season on the scoreboard? I think really well. It started right after the game, Sean, where guys were holding themselves accountable. Guys were wanting to be coached. A lot of truth floating around in our locker room that night. I didn't feel a lot of soft-skinned people. We got some freshmen on this team kind of looking around, but I was proud of our vets. I was proud of Kyler Edwards and TJ Shannon and Avery Benson looking me right in the eyes and saying, hey, Coach, we came up short. We win as a team, we lose as a team. Houston deserved to win this game, no excuses. I was proud of our transfers, JB and Marcus and Max, seeing them in our first chance of some adversity. Because as much as we'd love to go undefeated around here, but that was, I think Coach Knight was the last person who did that. That was a long time ago. That's back when I had baby teeth. So I was proud of those veterans. We didn't waste a lot of time sulking about getting beat. We just went back to work. I was proud of those freshmen. The next day, we had an off day in Lubbock per NCAA rules, and our guys were in the gym nice and early. The weight room was popping. Guys were putting in their work. First time we could get back to the court after that loss, you know, our guys responded. I've been pleased with how we responded. Now, the next step, you know, how are we going to play on game night? What's it going to look like when the lights come back on? And so we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to Friday night at 8 o'clock playing on national television and a chance to respond to some adversity. That's kind of what's been going on. Last thing, guys, if you continue to help us with the tickets and stuff, you know, there's tickets available for this game, 8 o'clock. I think those people, including you guys that have been out to the game, see that we have a safe environment, a good environment. We had a great crowd the other night in Fort Worth. We've had some good crowds in Lubbock. You know, we can get to that 25% capacity. We got great playing with parking outside as the weather changes. Nobody needs to walk too far this year. The shuttles aren't on this year because there's enough parks right here around the arena. The concession stand's popping. We got a popcorn connoisseur in my family that said it was about an 8. We made some calls to the people. We're going to try to get to about a 9 here by this week. My knowledge, we're serving beer at the game again. That's a big thing for Carlos. I mean, we're rolling here. Anybody out there that hadn't been to a game yet, please come. 8 o'clock, tickets available, texastech.com. If you don't like the product, call Mark Adams and he'll see if he can't get you a refund. Appreciate you guys.